Hey everyone, welcome back to Adobe Live. My name is Anika, your host today. I'm a graphic designer and a Adobe Express ambassador based out of Toronto, Canada. And I'm here to present AAPI Heritage Week Bootcamp Day 2. Hi and welcome. I have only the Behance chat here, but our moderator Cody will be able to help me out if there are any questions on the YouTube chat. So if you are watching this live, make sure to put any questions that you have in our live chat, which speaking of, I can see right here from the corner of my eye. I want to say hi to everyone before we get started into a very fun stream that I have planned for you today. Asian art with storytelling. I really love learning about mythology, and it's been such a pleasure learning about different cultures. And I want to share that with you and inspire you to create something with this bootcamp day too. But let's say hi to everyone and tell you what the plan is like. I want to say hi to Cody, Oliver, Lucia, Wade, Tim. Thank you so much, everyone. Carol, thank you so much for joining us here live today. If you missed day one, there is a YouTube playlist that I should actually have open. Let me open that 1 second to point you to that so that you can watch all the replays if you missed anything. But today we're actually doing something really fun and Filipino mythology inspired. And let's dive into my screen and show you how you can watch the playlist. You can go to the Adobe Live YouTube channel, go to the playlist tab right over here, and it says AAPI Heritage Week Bootcamp. Click on view full playlist. Yeah, that's what words are. You click on this and you can see all the videos archived over here. You can see this was day one. I created some bubble tea branding. Go back here, watch the replays, leave any questions that you might have, or reach out to me on Instagram. I'm available both ways. But today we're doing Asian art storytelling, which brings us to Adobe Illustrator. This is my sketch. And if you're wondering what a sorry store is, or what this is all about, what are lost and found items, I just want to say I just got so inspired by this person I met at an event here in Toronto. And he's Filipino. He's from the Philippines. He told me so much about Filipino mythology. And we talked about like Anagule, and inspired by the Tagalog mythology, they have a goddess of lost and found things called Anagule. And she used to find lost items. So if you lost anything such as treasures, keys, magical items, anything at all, she would house it in a store called a sari store. And I decided to make like a perspective, sort of 2 point perspective sketch in Adobe Fresco. So I have this here on my sketch layer, and I turned down the opacity a little bit. It's like 37% here, just because I wanted to see what's behind it, because I'm going to draw under this layer of the sketch. And I think I would show you like a few different ways that you can do this. So we're going to talk about perspective grids, we're going to talk about image tracing methods, and also just using the pen tool to create something. I want to see if there are any questions in chat. Let's see if there are any. Okay. Cool. Okay, we don't have any questions yet, but there's a very interesting question. I was talking to our producer, and he asked me this question: that if it's my lost item, can I get it from the Sari store for free? Well, you can actually claim this. If it is your lost item, you can actually claim it from the Sari store. So that's pretty cool. All right. So I don't know if you guys have ever used the perspective grid in Illustrator before. I feel like it's the most underrated tool in Illustrator, but also so good at the same time. So you can either get it from this little tool here, which is perspective grid, or you can press Shift P on your keyboard. My keyboard shortcuts up here on top. If you press Shift P, let me do that. I should be able to see it, but I cannot. Okay, what's happening? Wait. Okay, here we go. All right, it was already turned on, so I was just turning it off. So this is the 2 point perspective grid, and I went ahead and laid it out with my sketch. These are the two vanishing points here. I can change those anytime I want. So I can change these like so. And I have the horizon line right here. I can move it up and down any direction I want. And I can also change how far up the grid moves. So like if this is how tall I want my grid to be, I can move it from this little access button right here. But what if you weren't using a 2 point perspective grid and you just wanted one vanishing point or three vanishing points? Also, just as a reminder, this stream is a boot camp, so it's kind of like intensive training program where I would probably not be covering what those points are or what a one vanishing point is, but there are pro tip streams that I've done before which cover the basics of it. So make sure to watch those if you need to learn more about it. All right. So you can go to view and go to perspective grid and change how the grid looks as well. So there's 1 point perspective. 2-point perspective and 3-point perspective here as well. Right now I'm using a 2-point perspective, but you can go in and change it to 1-point perspective where there's only one vanishing point. A real life example would be like a train station or like a train on a train track would be a 1-point perspective going towards one endpoint, which like seems like it's meeting at a point in the end, but that's usually not the case. They're just two parallel lines that go on to meet at an infinitely far point. Another example would be using like a 2-point perspective, which we were already looking at, and then the 3-point perspective, which has three vanishing point. And of course, this can go on further. So without further ado, let's actually make use of the 2-point perspective and show you how it's done. So I'm going to go back to my 2-point perspective, come back here, and see, I see a question from Cody in chat. Does Photoshop have something like this? I am unsure if actually Photoshop has something like this. I don't think Photoshop has a perspective grid. But you can lay out grids there. I haven't ever used Photoshop for grids, to be honest. I don't know. I am not the right person to answer that. Sorry, I'll look that up and get back to you though. I can do that much. All right. So there's the grid. I'm just trying to align it to the center and see how that works. I feel like I kind of messed it up when I was like showing you how it works, but you can align it over here. I can hide my sketch just to show you how that looks. So I can align it from here, extend the grid up top, and I'm going to turn the sketch back on. Maybe change the mode to multiply so I can actually see the colors. So I'm going to go to opacity. Oh, it's already multiply. Oh no. Oh no. That's terrible. All right, I'm going to turn the opacity back up, and then I'm going to go to my perspective grid and extend it. Let's see. Oh, cool. Wait in the chat, just confirming that there are perspective options in Photoshop. I did not know that. That is pretty cool. We learn something new every single day. I love it. Okay, cool. Yeah, maybe you can use that then. I never even thought of it. I think most of the illustration work that I do is in Illustrator, so I never even thought about this. That's good to know. Okay, so I have this, and maybe you want to extend it. Maybe I want to like make it something like so. I want to move it down just a little bit up like this. And now I can use my rectangle tool or any other shape tool within Illustrator to actually create shapes. So this little widget over here tells you what grid you're drawing in currently. The one that's highlighted in not gray, so any other color than gray. So like 1 is the left grid, which is active right now. If I press 2 on my keyboard, the base grid is active. And if I press 3 on my keyboard, the right hand side grid is active, which is number 3. So let's press 1 again and create something on this side. Again, I would like ideally to have this illustration as is in Illustrator. So maybe I'll just image trace it, but just to showcase you methods of how you can do this. So I'm pressing 3 on my keyboard now and creating something here. Now, this does make it seem like this is too further ahead, like too further apart. Maybe I want to squish those vanishing points in now. So this is a good trial run there. Let me delete these and try to see if I can fix it. So I'm going to go back to my perspective grid and maybe do something like this, and then bring the horizon line a little bit up. And maybe I want to do something like so. All right, yeah. And then I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to press M on my keyboard, which is the ellipse tool, go to this widget and then create something again. So I have this right here. Let's see if we can actually do this with the perspective grid. And then we have this guy. Again, it does seem like it's not really fulfilling my idea of like the perspective grid. So getting it right is a little bit of a hit and trial if you're actually trying to match it with a sketch that was not created in perspective, because obviously the sketch was not done using grids, and so it looks a little bit different. But that is one way to create your perspective guidelines. Okay, the second way that you can actually do this is having an image be traced in Illustrator. So then, since this was a rasterized image created in Fresco, I can actually go in here and use the handy dandy image trace button in Illustrator to do something. I can go to image trace, and I'm sorry, this was not I'm going to turn it back to normal, turn it to 100% opacity. Make sure to have everything to 100% opacity so that the contrast is right for image trace to actually read those lines and create vectorized versions of them. I'm going to click on image trace, and instantly, voila, we have something of a vectorized version here, but it's still not expanded, and you can see it from your control bar up top. I am going to go in chat and check out. I see there's a question here, so let me just answer that. Okay. Um, All right. Jan in the chat has a really good question. Jan asks if it is to help with perspective or it literally creates a 3D mesh shape so you can use it for adding something to the grid. That is a great question, Jan. Let me bring back the perspective grid again. And I am going to delete this shape here and just show you how the perspective grid looks. So imagine that I have this external shape. This was created here. And since I have like this grid selected, it is creating this shape, whatever shape I'm creating in that grid. So no matter what shape I'm selecting, it is creating the same shape in the grid. So let's go ahead and create like a polygon, and it is also creating in that. So it is the mesh. It is not just a guide. It is actually a grid that you can use and align shapes to. So if you have artwork that's already created, you can actually bring it here and change it with perspective using the perspective selection tool. So I bring it here and it will move and change across their shape sizes and how it looks to the eye using the perspective selection tool. So right click on your perspective grid tool, and here's the perspective selection tool, which is also Shift V on a keyboard. I hope that answers your question. Let me know if you have any other questions related to perspective grids. Happy to answer them. All right, let me bring this back and let's start some work. We're 10 minutes in and we've just been talking about perspective grids. Love to see it. All right. I'm gonna go to normal and turn the 100% opacity back and go back to image trace, and we have Illustrator working its magic. So I can go in here and click on the image trace options to bring up the detailed versions. Now I want to do something here. Let me zoom in and show you how this looks. So I see that some of the detail is actually lost by the default image trace options that we have. But what I want to do is I want to increase the threshold a little bit to increase the number of points that we have in this image. Now, make sure to do this very carefully because sometimes our rasterized sketches may have too many points. And so this may lead to a bigger file. So think about your system and what kind of machine you have to support image tracing as well, because this creates all the vector points. So then we can go back to paths and corners. We can increase the paths here, and this is another way to do it. I don't really like how this looks. I mean, let me delete the number of corners that we have. So this is giving it that raw kind of look. I actually really like this because I wanted to also highlight the Japanese sumi-e ink brush art style and exploration. So I actually wanted to do that. Let's ignore white so that the background is deleted. And now I can click on expand since I'm happy with my image tracing. So I have this here, and now everything is a vector image. So I can just go in here and double click this guy, and this is a vector. So everything is a vector shape, which I really, really love. And because this was a sketch, everything is just grouped together in a compound shape instead of it being a single shape. So that is essentially how image tracing works, where everything is now a shape and it is a compound shape. So you can see that these are different colors. I can always go in and change the color of this as well. So here's me changing color. All right. So I hope that helps you with your image tracing adventures. But let's show you one last and final method of how to bring in your sketches in Illustrator and try to vectorize them. So I'm going to bring this to the side and show you the third method that I'm actually going to use in my plan today. Okay. I'm going to delete this because I already copied it using my shortcut, Shift, Option, and Drag. And I have this little guy over here. And I think the first thing that I'd like to do is create like a base layer. So I'm going to go in here and show you like a vectorized version that I have already done. I'm going to hide the sketch. And this is what we created. But I want to add values to this really quickly and show you how I can add color and add values. So what I'm going to do is essentially like, let's create some shapes, and like I just use the pen tool for this. So let me demonstrate some of this before we actually show you the vectorize. You saw the sneak peeks. Okay. So the easiest way to do something like this, I actually want to start with this because I feel like these are some things that will highlight some of the tools that I use. So I'm going to use L on my keyboard, and I have this guy over here, which is like the line tool. Also, where's my line? Okay, here we go. Wait, what? Oh, sorry. I'm working on the sketch layer. All right. So I have this guy here, and I feel like I want to highlight the draw inside mode because I use it a lot and I feel like it just hides it is also one of the tools that is very less, like, not used very often in Illustrator. So I'm going to bring it here. I'm going to make copies of these little eyeballs, which is like a creepy little thing that's housed in this store. But now I can go in here with my draw options. Right now it is draw normal. You can also do draw behind or draw inside. Now draw inside is press shift D twice and there's this little dotted lines that appear outside your selected shape. You can press any of the tools that you want, a pencil tool, a pen tool, or a brush tool, to create shapes within that. Now the shape outside the object isn't visible because it's essentially creating a clipping mask for you, and Illustrator is doing that. I don't need to do this explicitly by creating this shape outside and then creating a shape on top and then creating a clipping mask. So I think this is like super cool, where it just like makes my workflow so much smoother and I don't have to think about this anymore. And you press shift D another time and you get out of the draw inside mode. All right, let's do this for some of these variations, or you can also copy paste it and rotate it around, because that's how it usually comes to life. So I can rotate this around, bring it here, and then bring this guy here, maybe like flip it um a little bit or something like so, right? And then maybe I can like change the color fill of this as well. So I can double click into it. Just because it's now a compound shape, I can do this something like this. It's not really visible because it's beneath the sketch layer. So let me bring that up. I can use the eyedropper tool to copy the appearance of this little eyeball and then press option, hold, and click on the shape that I want to apply it to, which is going to copy my eyedropper appearance options. All right. Carol in the chat loves the draw inside mode. Love it for masking. Yeah, me too. I actually love that it makes the process a little bit smoother for you. And then you can always use the direct selection tool to select the inside shape and like move it around. So I have selected A on my keyboard, and that's like the easier way of actually using that. If you have V on your keyboard, which is the normal selection tool, you actually have to double click it and go inside the mask. But if you have direct selection, you can essentially go in here and place it like so. So I hope that helps. This was a quick tutorial, a bite-sized tutorial in here with your bootcamp today. Let me find another shape that I can use, and then I can just send it to back. So I am using a bit of keyboard shortcuts in here. Also, I love that Jan in the chat said that thank you. So now I can delete Maya and use Illustrator as a 3D modeling tool. Whatever works for your workflow. I would say whatever works for your workflow is good for me. All right, so let's bring this a little bit like so, and maybe I can do this. I have this in here. There are other 3D options within Illustrator as well, so make sure to explore those in here. Like I said, this won't create a 3D tool, but will create vector shapes in perspective. All right, let's group that. And that's how you create like a part of the illustration like so. And then there are some little hen, like this little character, which is also like the animal used in the Filipino mythology. I want to show you how you can use the pen tool. I typically use the pen tool to create something like this. And I want to demonstrate how I can do that really, really quickly. All right, so I can just go ahead and hold and drag, and you can always click the option tool to essentially change the shape of the pen tool. I am going to use just the pen tool though to show you how it's done. So I can just hold and drag the anchor points here to create this Bezier curve. I feel like sometimes the pen tool is so like underrated. Also, I feel like this is such a I was just like talking about all my favorite features, but that's how the process be. I love using the pen tool. It's like so intricate but also delicate. You know what I mean? It's like I love it. Okay. And then you can press, this is just the border because I wanted to see the shape, but you can press Shift X to make it a fill instead. So this was just a stroke and now it's a fill. It's a stroke, it's a fill. It's a stroke, it's a fill. Okay. Oh, that makes sense. All right. Let's use the pen tool again to create the body here. And then I can reach out to this point, make it like so. And like here. All right. So this is cool. We covered like 3 ways to vectorize your sketch. And now I'm using the last way to actually do it. I really love this method just because I wanted it to have like an organic quality to it, which was like hand drawn. I could have done this in fresco with like the vector tools and with like a stylus, like the Apple Pencil, but I wanted it to have the recolor artwork ability. And I just like using Illustrator on my desktop with my mouse instead of using the Apple Pencil. But if that is something that you want to do, you can always go in to Adobe Fresco and use the vector brushes as well. Actually, you know what? Watercolors in Fresco would mean such a great idea for this because the Japanese ink style sumi-e is like using black ink, which is sumi, which actually means black ink, but is not quite black, and A, which is painting. So it's essentially black ink painting. I'm sure you've seen those before. An example of something like that which I found on Adobe stock is this. So these are like brushes that we're gonna dive into really soon. And you can create these with the help of white space around your ink brushes and then create something like this. So maybe we'll create something with this little guy here, our little friend here. Okay, let's see. And I'll show you how you can use the inbuilt brush library in Illustrator to create something like that. Let's see. I'm gonna just copy these points here. Not copy, just make these points here a little bit accurate and see how that looks. And you can always send it to back. Let's see. Do I have some colors here? Let's see. Yeah, okay. And right now I'm not adding any values at all. I'm literally just painting this behind. Carol, no, that is an Adobe stock that I wanted to show you for reference because it's literally impossible to paint something like that in less than an hour. Just because I want it to be like a demonstrative stream instead of just me working along. I always feel like it's such a hard process, but it's just like my motive with a boot camp here today is to essentially showcase how it's done and then empower you to create it yourself. So while I'm showing the techniques, it may be used in more than one way and not just the way that I'm using. So this may be something that might want to explore in another project, but the idea is to highlight the culture and also the techniques at the same time. So the idea is to not have a finished product at the end, but to just highlight how you can create something and empower you to create something. All right, let's just get these shapes the same appearance, and we have something here. And then I can select everything over here and bring it to the front, and then bring this guy to the front, just this guy. So here we go. We have the shape in here, and okay, this is how it looks. I'm not exactly loving this, but we have something in here. Then we have some bananas in here, some other shapes. So the way that I created was essentially finding everything in here and creating shapes out of those things. Let's go ahead and show you what I did with the vectorized version. I'm going to hide the sketch, and this was my vectorized version that I did after hours of actually drawing something like this and creating this with like my utmost care and trying to show you how it works. So this is the same guy. The one that I created right now looks like this. It's almost similar, but not quite similar, like not quite white and not quite black. This is actually white and black. But let's go ahead and add some values to it, because why not? All right. So what I'm going to do is create a copy of this artboard. So I have my artboard. Let's select my artboard tool here and go ahead and create a copy of this. So I am going to go in here and create this guy. All right, looking at chat to see if there are any questions. There are not. So let's move on. All right. And then I'm going to go in here to essentially go in here and get some values from my swatches panel. So I'm going to go in here, go to my swatches panel right here from window. And then I can go in here and add some values. So there is a folder, which is like an inbuilt color swatch that you can add values from. Typically, I like to use 5 colors. So I'm going to go in here and create copies of these to create colors. And then I'm going to press Command D on my keyboard just to make some copies. Now I can go in here, select the shape, and then add some colors, which are grayscale values. The idea behind this was to get inspired by the Japanese ink brush painting. And because it is all monochrome in the ink brush paintings with black and white and shades of black with the brushes and how dilute you make the ink, I wanted to use that style with my illustration. So I'm going to show you two ways how to do that as well, which is I'm really doing this super quickly. All right, let's actually, I'm going to go in here and actually do something. One sec. All right. So I have this guy right here. I am actually getting tones which are like one less, like I'm skipping one shade in between just because I don't want it to be too similar. I am just getting colors from my swatches. All right. And this is the darkest color. I feel like this kind of looks like the values that I want to go for. So this being the lightest and this being the darkest. This is typically how I work with my illustration style. If you've seen any of my illustration streams before, I tend to have like a value system of 5 colors and shades of monotone, which I can then use to eyedrop it to my shapes here. So everything that you see here is a shape. So this is a separate shape. This is a separate shape. This is some text that I put in here using the perspective tool, which I can showcase again. If anyone has any questions, then I have the shapes. Everything else is literally just a shape. So let's go ahead, use the eyedropper tool and add some shapes to this. All right. Yeah, and then I'm gonna add these colors. Okay. I feel like this is such a test in like light and shadows though, because you don't know where the light is hitting from here. Do I have a light source defined? I don't know what's going on. So I'm just like experimenting here to see how it works, and then we're gonna see if it actually looks good. Okay, I feel like it is kind of all right, but not really the best. So let's go ahead, add some more colors to this. This is just the same color, so maybe you want some variation in here. So I'm going to use the lightest color just over here. Again, I'm just experimenting and seeing what colors actually work. So I'm not too sure if this is going to work, but we'll see. We'll see if it works. Clever. Hey, how's it going? Thank you for being here. I know you just said you were lurking and you were just popping in at the almost half-hour mark. So thank you so much for being here. Also all the lurkers, hello. All the lurkers on replay, hello. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. I'm working on an illustration that I created in Adobe Fresco, inspired by Filipino mythology, and I'm trying to find like a way to give it my twist to a Japanese ink brush style painting. All right, so I have this here. Let me actually go ahead and get like a color in here. All right, I think I'm kind of liking the look of this, but I'm not really sure if I want these colors. So let's go in here, maybe make it like the lightest tone here to give it that contrast that it needs, and then add some colors here. Not a fan. Not a fan of this. You want this color here. I like decided to make like a rug situation, but I'm not too sure. Emily, hi. Thank you so much. Nice to see you here. I've only seen you in like Tony streams. It's nice to see you here. That's amazing. Thank you for tuning in to Adobe Live. Um, all right. Yeah, let me know if you have any other questions. Happy to answer. Okay. I feel like this color would also actually be super cool. Okay, I'm not mad about this. And then I have this. Maybe I can use like the darker color here and the lighter color on top and create something like these little guys, which would create that pattern texture. I think that would add some detail to it. Now this looks like it is very complicated illustration, which drawing it was hard, don't get me wrong, but it does seem like it really isn't. So I will add some detail with some texture, and I can just like easily add an opacity mask on top and fix that. But there's some detail here. Maybe I can add a different color, maybe like a lighter. What is this color? Yeah, I think something like so. And then I can just replicate that shape in here. So something like this, and then I can make it smaller. Maybe something like this. Yeah, I think this is kind of looking all right. Now I see that there's like an issue here, so I can press the direct selection and bring it up top. Joshua, hi, thank you so much. I love that all the work lurkers are here. Thank you so much for being here. Welcome. Let me know if you've ever learned anything about Filipino mythology that you can share with everyone. I would love to know everything all about it. So let me know if you have anything to share with us, or if you've worked with any of your clients who have asked you to or commissioned you to create some artwork. That would be so cool to actually work on something like this with a client. Like, so fun. Okay, I think this color doesn't really go well here. Maybe this color. Yeah, I like this actually goes in here really well. And then you can go in here and obviously change these shapes. So I want to hide this shape and then probably grab this color in here for the detail. So I have these details lined up in here very, very quickly. And I'm trying to like do this super quick. So some values may not actually be perfect. Barbara, hey, how's it going? Nice to see you in chat. It's been a while that I saw you in chat, so it's nice to see you. Okay, so I think these are like, I really have to like focus and find out if these values are working. Okay, yeah, I think I might move this a little bit up just to like see. And obviously, this is like a layer issue that I can fix later, but that's fine too. So this really does help me find like the values that I want to align or like assign to this, because it's just like so easy to do this with the eyedropper tool. I feel like again this is like such an underrated tool that a lot of people don't or forget to use every single time. And I'm just like getting these values in here using the eyedropper. Again, if you don't know how I'm doing this, I'm just using the eyedropper and pressing Option or Alt on your keyboard and selecting or hovering over the shape that I have here and then clicking. So just by hovering, you don't need to have the shape selected, and you can essentially go in here and have any color that you want. All right, and then I can go in here, change these colors as well. So I have some of these colors. Can make these lighter, and then oh wait, is there another tone that I'm missing? I'm trying to see if there is like a shade that I'm missing. Yeah, there you go. And then obviously you won't be able to see the sides. So if I actually go into view and trim view and show you how that looks. So one good pro tip here is going to view and trim view. If you have anything outside your artboard that is hindering your view to see the final vision of your illustration or anything you're working on, go to view, go to trim view, and you can see anything that is, you can see just the things on the artboard. So anything outside will disappear because you're essentially in trim view. So just a little pro tip for you there. Okay. And I feel like these colors also would be super cool. Like, so maybe I can change some of these values in here as well. So this is essentially a very repetitive process now that you have established the values, and you can go in here and change all these values one by one and see what works for you. Now, this may not be how it works for everyone. Some people like to work on it with their own particular method. I try to work with monotone just because it gives me the like, once I do, yeah, like do use recolor artwork after this, it just like so is so cool to see when it actually works. And yeah, I personally love to see that. So yeah, that is just my part of the process. Let's see if we can actually add some of these colors here. Adding these colors, obviously now this means that the banana in the back is like not as highlighted because it's like in the back. So having this kind of tone is really helpful. All right, and then maybe this guy would be this. Yeah, and then maybe I can just do this because it's like a different color. Okay, yeah, we'll think about this in a second. All right, and then there's this color in the background. Maybe I can do something like this here, some books in the background, and I have like this little globe icon. So essentially, I just inserted any of the items that could be lost. So I was thinking I'll put in like AirPods because that's like a modernized take on this. So like AirPods, because everyone loses them every single day. That would be fun, right? I think I'll put it at the end, like AirPods at the end here. Okay, I think I really like the look of this so far. Let me know what you guys think in the chat, and if you want me to add some items, maybe I can add one here. Um, let's see. I have this guy here, and maybe I can just add this color in here. Okay. I actually really like how this is looking. But we have to go further up ahead. It is 33-minute mark, but I want to add some more things. Let's actually go in here. Okay. Yeah. Maybe I have I don't think I can add like a dark color here. All right. And then there's like this color. I'm gonna go put the darker shade behind. Oh, I'm sorry, I meant do this. and then this guy in here, and maybe like the lighter shade on top. Yeah, and then don't forget to always like zoom out and see how everything looks, because when you're like really zoomed in, you lose the vision of how the actual illustration looks like, because you can really not tell, like theory of relativity, you really cannot tell how it's going to look like in the bigger picture. So it's really good to like zoom out or physically like move away from the screen. I would recommend moving moving away only as much as it allows, but like zooming out really really helps. I learned this from all the pros who are also in the chat, so love to know it. Single AirPods, yeah. That would be cool. Yeah, maybe a bowl full of them. Oh my god, that is such a great idea. Maybe like we have like a bowl full of AirPods here at the end. I love that. Socks. Yeah. Oh, that is such a great idea. I love chat. I love chat. Okay, so maybe we can make like a pair of like one sock here, because that's how it usually goes, right? You just have this one modernized version of sock in the washer that never comes back. Okay, so we have this guy. I just use like two shapes here to create this. I'm gonna press Shift M on my keyboard and use the shape builder tool. And then I'm gonna press A on my keyboard to get the direct selection tool and maybe make something like this. Now, obviously, this can be different for anyone, but the basic shape would be something like this. Right now, doesn't look very how I wanted it to be. But that's fine. That's fine. Let's bring this down a little bit. Maybe something like so. And then we can essentially go in here and turn this around. And maybe this one is like more. This is not how a sock should look like. This doesn't look like a sock, but you get the idea, right? And then you can go in here and open your perspective grid. Maybe perhaps we can make use of that and then bring it to the bottom. So I have the perspective grid selected, and go ahead, select your perspective selection tool, and then like oh my god, just like really made it bigger. Okay. That is, oh, I see why, because it's like at the top and I was using it on a different artboard. Okay, so here we go. Here we have this, and I'm gonna go back to my perspective selection tool and bring it in perspective here. So obviously this is like one dimensional, but you can go in here and change how it looks, right? So this is in perspective. Maybe we can like put it and hide it behind our plant or something, or like this shape. So it's there, but not really, because it looks terrible, and that's not how a sock looks. But yeah, there you go. That's the idea of how to add things to your perspective grid. All right, great ideas. It totally messed up the sock there, but it's fine. It's fine. Everything is fine. It's okay. Okay, add some color in here. We have this. Let's see. All right. I think this is coming along nicely. Maybe we have like a lighter color in here. Okay. Okay. I love that. Umbrellas. Ooh, I actually should write this down. Let me write this down. You guys are giving me great ideas. Let me write this down. So I'm gonna say umbrellas. That is, I cannot see that. Let's make it bigger. I cannot spell. AirPods. AirPods in a bowl. And then socks. Okay, cool. Yeah, I will add those later. Yeah, okay. All right, so this is how that looks. I do want to go in and show you recolor artwork, so let's do this super quickly and add some more colors to this. Okay, so we have this. I'm gonna add some of these colors here to add value, and then I'm gonna go in here, essentially get this color. Yeah. All right, I think this looks pretty cool. We're getting there slowly but surely. I'm gonna get this color and get this color here. All right, and then I created some books in here as well. RB, thank you so much for joining. How's it going today on a nice sunny Wednesday? It was raining here earlier where I am, so let me know where you're all tuning in from. Even if you're lurking and have been lurking for all this while, let me know where you've been tuning in from, so I can know. I can know where you're tuning in from. All right. Cool. I think I really like this. I think I love these colors, how they go together. And it is just so easy to do something like this because of how seamless it is to use the eyedropper. I think this is like one of my top workflow techniques that I use to like make it easier for myself. I love this as well. So maybe make some colors in here. So let's go ahead. Let's go ahead, add some color values. All right. Okay. Now this may not be the perfect shape, but we don't want it to be perfect. It's all good. Beautiful day in Austin, Texas. That's lovely to hear. I've never been to Austin, Texas. I should go. All right. Yeah, and then this is this shape. Maybe I want to change the shape to something else. Like so to give it that contrast that it needs, and then add like a black. I still think that we need to probably move this because like it is the shape is like dissolving in the door, and we obviously don't want that. So we'll think about that in just a quick second here. And then I have this shape in here. Maybe we do something like this. Yeah, fun. Okay. I think this is super fun. All right. And then we'll do some really cool Illustrator magic and show you how you can use Recolor artwork to create a monotone out of this. Just because we did all this extra time and effort to create something like this slowly, but at the end of the day, we actually essentially can just use Recolor artwork now and create something super cool. So maybe we wanted like greens in here, maybe we wanted just to be a monochrome artwork. We can do that super quickly. Obviously, these shapes need some work, but we'll fix that. We'll fix that in post, okay? Don't add me. We have this shape in here. I feel like this is looking super cool. All right. And then actually get this in here. We move this around like so. And we have this. Oh no, selected something. We have this color. Maybe I want something like a lighter shade. All right. Zooming out to see how it looks. All right. We've got almost all the items. Let's check, do a quick time check. All right. I think we're good on time. So let's keep going on here and adding some of these shapes. I'm going to try and do this super quickly here so that we're not wasting any more time on this. We will add color to this later. So maybe we'll just like keep it as is. Or maybe I will actually add color because sometimes if you don't add color to all the illustrations, it's kind of messes it up. Oh, hold on, let's see. Okay, and obviously you need to add detail to this after the fact because, or like even while you're doing this process, I'm just showing you like basic shapes just because whenever you don't add detail, it'll be really hard to tell that this is made of glass. So thinking about those kind of aspects is also really important. I think I want to add like this color to this. Yeah, not quite sure what colors I want in this guy. Also, these shapes are like weird, so we might want to fix that later as well. Yeah, I think, yeah. Okay, I think I'm not mad about this. Maybe this kind of works. Nope, didn't want to do that. Here and here. Okay, we have about 15 minutes left. The illustration reminds me of the game Monkey Island. Oh, I've never seen. I don't know what that is. I should know that. RB saying sunny and warm here in the northeast middle of the UK, and Arokia in the chat. Hey Arokia, thank you so much for joining. This illustration is the video game Monkey Island. I don't think I've ever seen that. I should be knowing this. I feel terrible. Let me know if where I can find it. All right. Not familiar with that, but is that a good thing? Thank you. Looks like the art style. Love it. Okay. I think I like this. I can go ahead and move forward. I'm just adding random colors now just because I want to showcase like the recolor artwork feature. I have this in here. Let's actually go ahead and add some color. Okay. Cool. All right. Do we have anything left in here? Okay. A few things. All right. So let's actually go in here, get these colors. Like so. Yeah, and then I can just add some of these random colors in here. All right. And some of this, maybe this is like a lighter tone, and this is like this color, or perhaps this. Yeah, I think it's coming together. Wow, that just disappeared. Oh, okay. Yeah, I think we've covered every single item in the shop, right? I think so. I think so. What do you think? It's one of the games they play that I do not like. It's on their Photoshop. Oh, Photoshop? Oh, you mean wow. Let's just pretend that didn't happen. Is that Photoshop instead of PlayStation? That's live streaming for you. Okay, I think this is coming across really nicely. Let's actually go in and add some last bit of our shading here. these values are not the best maybe, but we'll see how that looks. Okay. And then we have this in here. Okay. I'm actually not mad about how it turned out. So I'm gonna hit save. By the way, if you are working and lurking, make sure to save your work. All right. So we added so much. We showcased. If you're just joining or okay, you're just here, but you can watch the replay. I talked about 3 different ways of how to vectorize your sketch using perspective grids, using image trace, and then using the pen tool. So make sure to watch the replay. Then we talked about how you can use values from the swatches that are pre-existing in Adobe Illustrator. And then we created and added values to these, vectorize some of the sketch. And then we will get in here. Also, Oliver is asking a great question in chat, so I don't know, maybe I know it and I just don't remember it. All right, so I probably know it, just don't remember it. Maybe it is like in hindsight inspired by it, and I just will not just remember. When I see it, I'll remember it. Okay, going back to our sketch here, which is vectorized now and has values in it. I can go in here to edit colors and recolor artwork. And because I spent like so many minutes here trying to like work on through the values of this, I can essentially now go in. I'm going to put my layers panel on the side. I can go in here to my selected artwork, which is everything in here. Is everything selected? I don't think so. Everything is selected. Um, Love that. Clever in the chat is talking about saving their work, so I love it. I probably know about it. Now I feel terrible about saying I don't know about it. All right. So you can go to all of these preset color libraries in Adobe Illustrator, and these are all the art history, celebration, color books, color properties, and you can select any of these to add color to your artwork. Now, since this is all values, it may or may not turn out how you expected it to be. So we'll see how it looks. It can be a surprise, but don't get alarmed. I just selected ancient, and it seems like some of the values were not the right, could not pick up the right color, but you can change it from the prominent colors up here. You can bring it up if you wanted to add some more. Oh, did it not select it? I'm not too sure what's happening. Let's see. Let's reset. Yeah. Oh, it deselected everything. That is so weird. Let me go in here and get this artwork, make a copy of this, and then select everything. And then I'm going to go in here, go to edit colors, go to recolor artwork. And maybe we'll choose a different library now. So maybe we'll go to nature and then select like foliage or something. Ooh, that actually looks really good. I love the greens in here, but maybe I want to change like how that looks. So maybe I want to change the prominence of this. So that's like a monochrome green version of this, like the sorry store, but maybe I wanted browns. So you can always go ahead and change this, which is like the brightness and contrast decreases and increases the contrast. Maybe I wanted something like this, but I can always press Command Z to undo and get back to the original. I think I like this the best, but you can always go ahead and color pick a theme as well. But let's go ahead and reset and show you other options. So you can do metal. I don't know how this is gonna. Okay, that's actually not as bad as I thought it would be. But let's go to art history and do Baroque. Ooh, this is one of my favorites. I think this turned out to be like really warm. Maybe if we just change these colors, maybe this will be good. So I'm actually gonna save this copy just because I want to see how that looks. Okay, and then we have this guy in here. And the last thing that I'm going to show you in the last few minutes that we have here are the brushes panel. So I feel like I talked about the ink brushes, but did not really demonstrate that. So I'm going to show you the brushes panel and show you how you can create something Japanese ink art brush style. So go to window and you can see the brushes panel right here. Click on brushes and you have all of these beautiful brushes built in within Adobe Illustrator. You don't need to make these brushes by hand or any other third-party software. You can just have these different libraries in here. There are arrows, there are artistic brushes. I'm currently using the artistic ink brush set, which I feel like is super cool for something like this. There are decorative banners and seals as well, so maybe I can show you how that looks. So just to demonstrate how brushes work in Illustrator, let's use the pen tool and create a line in here. And then I'm going to apply this brush to it. So these are all inbuilt brushes, just an example of how brushes work in Illustrator with like the decorative banners and seals. But for today, I'm actually going to use maybe this broom or something. Essentially, let's just copy this broom out here. Let's see. Have we selected it? Okay. Yeah, I think this is selected, right? Yeah. So I can just go in here and apply any brush that I want. So I think maybe we'll experiment with some of these brushes. I don't know what library this is. Let's open the artistic ink. Yeah, there we go. This is the artistic ink library that we have. I want to open maybe this brush perhaps or something like so. And as you see, it is adding the same color, but the brush has the hue jitter attached to it, so you can essentially see it's not exactly the same color, but slightly different, which really adds that texture to it. You can go in here and delete the inside of it to really add that. And then maybe I can just like paste it and maybe see how that. Ooh, that's actually super cool. I didn't actually consider this. That's pretty cool. Okay. And I'm just creating multiple copies of this to like see how that works. And you can manipulate the shape to bring it inside and like create the little values that you have. And I actually really like this. And once you do this to the whole illustration, it's gonna turn it to like a very cool Japanese inspired style. But let's keep doing this until the end of our stream today just to see where we go. I love it. People in the chat really loving it. Clever saying pretty, and wow, Arokia saying wow, Noor saying pretty impressive. Thank you. Let me know if you actually ever implement any of these styles. I would love to see what you guys create out of this. I've actually never seen anyone do this on Adobe Live. So I'm super excited to and pumped to show you these techniques today here with the AAPI Heritage Week. I actually have something super impressive tomorrow too, which is I'm really loving it. Love it. Carol in the chat saying you can use those with line profiles. Love that you brought it up, Carol. Let's actually showcase that as well. So I'm actually pressing Shift Command H to show you this on a white background, but let's go back in here. And I am going to go in here and essentially bringing this back, which is a copy. Also, the width profiles in Illustrator are so cool because you can essentially manipulate the width of this guy. So I have this shape, which is the brush. I've never actually used width profiles with brushes, but let's actually dive into it and see how that goes. Press Shift W on your keyboard, or there's a button here in the toolbar. That's the width profile button. You can go in here and change how that looks. So now you can manipulate every single thing of the artwork. You can see that it's not the same stroke size at all places at points. You can create multiple points in here, as many or as little as you want, and manipulate the shape itself. So let's keep doing that. Maybe I want to change the color of this guy. So maybe I can just go in here, and similar to how we did this, I can press Shift click on the color that I want and then bring it here, which is going to add some more value to it. You can overlay it. Now, the good thing about this is that it can be used in multiple ways. By that, I mean you can change the opacity and the mode of it as well. So now it's on multiply mode and on top. So it's going to multiply the colors that are like beneath. And maybe we want to add something like this as well. So I'm using the pen tool here and adding like, ooh, that's actually a really cool texture. Ooh, I actually really love this. This is so cool. I love like real reactions that are like streaming because you can see how cool this looks with like this texture. I actually really love that. Maybe I should use it to all the sides. So there's like a lot of like experimentation and stuff with something like this. I've never done any of this artwork before. So it's like so experimental and cool here to see how that looks. So did I create a copy of this? I did actually create a copy of this. So let's group this out and paste it in here to see how that looks. And that's not going to match our style here today, but I'll try to finish this out and show you how that looks. I actually really like this. I like how this looks. Now imagine this whole thing in this style. I love the Japanese ink brush style just because it's like so dynamic and gives you that look of monochrome and like a hand drawn feel. Studio Print My Soul. Hey, thank you so much for joining. Claudie, hi, how is it going? Thank you for joining. Ulkar, love it. Emily says this broom looks like something from a children's book. Very cool. Yeah, so like this, you can essentially add the Japanese ink brush art style to your illustrations. And you know what the coolest part is? All of this is vectors. So it is completely expandable and scalable. And you can use these techniques in your artwork, maybe to create something that you're working on for the longest time, but we're struggling with some art styles, or maybe just as an exploration to see how everything works. So, with that said, I want to talk about a little bit about what we're going to do tomorrow and say goodbye to you all. And thank you so much for joining me here today. I'm going to zoom out and show you what we did. I started off with this little sketch here, which is vectorized now. We went and added some values to this, which look like this. Went ahead and got some colors with the recolor artwork, which is super cool in Illustrator. And then I went ahead and showed you how to create like an ink brush, Japanese ink brush sumi-e style painting. So thank you so much everyone for joining me here today. I love that you were here with me for the last 1 hour. I'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place, same Adobe Live YouTube channel. I will be showcasing language support in Adobe applications. Adobe Fonts is wonderful, and I can use all the Asian languages in Adobe applications. So I'll be creating some wayfinding and traffic signs in Hindi, which is my native language, and I'll be using Adobe Fonts for that. So learning about how to import languages in Illustrator or Photoshop or any other graphic design tool that you use where you're using the text tool. I'm going to show you how you can find those fonts on the Adobe Fonts website, import them in your apps, change the keyboard from your desktop iOS settings. I will be talking about the MacBook settings. I will do some more research to find out Windows devices as well, and some fun drawing basic shapes and finding like how to make traffic and wayfinding signs. So I hope this has been fun. Thank you so much for joining me here today for another day of the AAPI Heritage Week Bootcamp. I'll see you all tomorrow, but until then, stay safe and stay creative. Bye for now.